we deep dive into the actual facts. We look around. We look around our environment, we see more pollution. We look into the cities, highly congested. We look at the mountains getting barren because the trees being cut. We look around, there are big roads, but no trees around. So, what is the cost of this development? So, that's why the concept of sustainable development evolved to understand that development is sustainable when our present needs are met, but the needs of the future generations are not compromised. You are children of tomorrow. You are children of today and the generation of next, maybe 10 years, 20 or 40 years. So will you be able to get enough? If yes, we'll say that resources are being replenished. When resources are used or trees are being cut, more trees are grown. Minerals are scarce because we take out from earth. Minerals are used for manufacturing purpose and even to satisfy our needs. But are we using these minerals rampantly to satisfy our selfish needs for the moment, or are we keeping enough for the future generation who are young children and they will need to survive and enjoy the same quality of life in the future? If we are using petroleum products, but are we also working on seeing that what will the future generation do to satisfy their needs for transport? Are we leaving enough for them? That's why you must have seen some of the advertisements. The car is being driven and there was a stoppage at the red light, and the child says, "Papa, switch off the car." I said, "Why?" तो आप ही सबने खत्म कर देना, मेरे लिए क्या बचेगा? So that's the message, that satisfy your needs, but also see what will the future generation do. So that's the concept of sustainable development. Let's explore it. Meaning of sustainable development. Sustainable development means meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the resources and the ability of future generation to satisfy their own needs. That means we take care of the needs of the present generation as well as of the future generation. It's called sustainable development. It means development and improving in the quality of life of the present generation, and at the same time ensuring that the future generation will be able to live the same or even better quality of life. That means the resources should grow, not deplete. If resources are allowed to finish now, so what will the future generation do? That means sustainable development is to ensure that there is enough left for the future generation. Economic development is sustainable only when the stock of overall capital assets remains constant or rises over time. Now, there is a term used, stock of overall capital assets. Let's understand the term overall capital assets, because if we understand this term, what is overall capital assets, that will also make us understand what is sustainable development. That means the capital assets should not finish. So what are those capital assets? Capital assets include natural capital. These are natural resources like These are the natural resources and environment like quality of air, quality of water, quality of soil, stock of minerals, oil stock, fisheries in the rivers and oceans, forest reserves, etc. Are these retained? These are renewable. As far as the usage is concerned, some are non-renewable, like minerals are non-renewable, oil stock is non-renewable, but fisheries, forests are renewable, that we can multiply them. That means the resources that are used to satisfy the needs of the present generation. Just a minute. Second is physical capital. The first was okay, natural capital. All right. That means the resources that are used to satisfy the needs of the present generation are not only used to produce for the current needs, but the resources are replenished at the same time for the future generation. Because some of the resources we can replenish, we can recreate, like forests, like ponds, fish, we can recreate. And second component of capital stock is physical capital, like plants, machinery, equipment, factories, power plant, transportation. So we use factories, power plant, transport to produce, but at the same time, we also ensure that there is sufficient left for the future. We not have to destroy it. And the third is human capital, education, skill, knowledge, technology. Sum total of these three, natural factors, physical factors, human capital, it becomes capital stock. Now, perhaps you are very young to understand these heavy terms. So, to keep it simple, if I say what we see around us and how we live, will the future generation be able to live the same way? That quality of life? If yes, we call it sustainable development. Sustainable development. This is summary. Use of natural resources renewable for production and satisfy the needs, but also create more resources. Second bullet point. Use non-renewable resources in such a way that there should be sufficient left for the future generation. Third bullet point. Ensure that the production activities do not lead to polluting the environment. If we make sure about these, then we say there is sustainable development. First bullet point is natural resources which are renewable. Use them because we need to produce, but replenish. Non-renewable resources, use them, but use carefully so that there is enough stock left for future generation. And third is do not create environment pollution, that is water pollution, air pollution, and even soil pollution. Need for sustainable development. Quality of life depends on the quality of air, water, and soil. Quality of life doesn't depend on the things we possess. Whatever we own, like house, like iPhone, like mobile phone, like laptops, and whatever we own, that doesn't improve our quality of life. Quality of life depends on the quality of air, water, and soil. Therefore, there is a need for sustainable development. Do not pollute it. Do not cause pollution. So it means pollution is an integral part of sustainable development. We need to improve production. We need to improve income. We need to improve the things which we possess, but without compromising quality of air, quality of water, quality of soil. That is the first point. Second, you see, there is industrialization without depleting the stock of natural resources. Use raw material which is needed to produce, but use it very scarcely. That means use it very carefully without finishing the stock. Otherwise, what will be left for the future generation? I was in Hyderabad long ago, and as I was traveling through the streets, there was a power cut at that time in the evening, and naturally, being industrial city, people switched on their generators, and the smoke was emitted and thrown into the streets, and it was difficult to walk. Now, after a couple of years, this concept is outdated. People can't run the generators and throw the smoke on the street. That means it is being felt that growth should not be at the cost of environment. If you look at Delhi, now in Delhi we still face a lot of air pollution, noise pollution, and population pollution. But few years ago, maybe 20 years ago, there were factories inside Delhi that was adding to the pollution. That is the reason more and more people are staying in Delhi, because factories were there. So remain unchecked, and that is why people are suffering in Delhi. So this concept has come because of the suffering of the people, because the sufferings should not happen for the future generation. Third, there is a concept called cost of development. When resources are exhausted, we say there is loss of natural resources. There is a loss of production for the future. So when we say there is a growth of national income, उसमें से minus कर दो. Whatever is loss is there. To be realistic, to project a realistic situation, we should subtract the cost of depleting resources and cost of increasing the resources to call it a real growth. So let me sum it up with this. Go back to what is the need for sustainable development. First, simple. Ensure that there is quality of life. Do not measure quality of life in terms of things we possess, but measure in quality of life in terms of the air, water, and soil pollution, soil quality, and industrialization. Yes, it is important, but without compromising on stock of resources we have. Ensure that there is sufficient left for the future generation. And we must remember that depleting resources is known as the cost of development. When we say the forests are being cut, when we say the roads are being widened by cutting the trees, understand that it is costing us. Environment is affected. Therefore, effort should be made to plant more trees which are finished, and also to generate other resources, alternative resources for the future. So quality of life depends on healthy and long life, food, drinking water, clean air, better sanitation, clean environment. So if this is ensured, then the meaning of development will become clear. As a student of economics, why are we teaching you? Because you are the future, maybe manufacturer, maybe a manager, maybe managing director of a company, or a responsible citizen. Then you should understand that growth should be ensuring that there is healthy food available, there is healthy and clean drinking water available, and clean environment available. So quality of life depends on these parameters. So lastly, what is the effect of economic development on environment? Whenever we say there is economic development, remember these are going to contribute to these factors. Effect of economic development on resources and environment. Our resources are limited. Our resources are of two types, renewable and non-renewable. Renewable can be maintained, but non-renewable are limited. So when we develop the economy, first effect is depletion of resources, whether it is the water resources or natural resources like minerals, water pollution. So it causes water pollution. Third, air pollution. I hope you are able to understand this. Pavit, these terms are simple for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Jill, are you okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm finishing this in a short while because these are the negative effects of economic development. Soil erosion, trees being cut. So as a result, after rains, what happened? The soil flows onto the plains from the hills. This causes soil erosion. So many hills also fall, and which is a natural disaster. Solid and hazardous waste. So whatever we consume, there are many types of human waste, many types of waste, human waste, animal waste, industrial waste, all the packing things which we see. Where will you throw? We throw it. Similarly, I was in America and I went to a restaurant. I mean, there were 4 bins kept. We ordered for food and they gave us 4 plates, and those were either made of plastic or made of paper. And then napkins, number of napkins they gave. Eat food and throw everything in the dustbin. What happens? This will go become a waste. Where will we throw? Throw into the environment. Some are can be recycled. So in many countries have become stockhold of these waste and they clean it. Deforestation. Sixth is deforestation. Many trees being cut for our needs. Seventh is loss of biodiversity. We don't see many of the birds, fish. So some of the species in the water have finished. Even around us finished. Animals are dying, all because we are exploiting their living living style. We have taken their life, their land. We have taken their water. We have polluted the water whereby they die. And the last is that our next topic will be on this topic, that negative effect of growth, economic development is global. This is affecting and raising the concern all over the world that temperature is rising. Uh, there are more dust storms. There are more um, storms in the sea, and also the other natural calamities which we face because of the global warming. So that was an introductory lecture on sustainable development. It's not a very long chapter. It's a very small chapter. But as a student of economics, you need to understand. We don't have to see the materialistic things. We have to see the finer aspects of growth. This is a finer aspect of growth. That what are we doing with our resources? Are our resources being preserved? So it is to sensitize you on the concept of development. Development means also ensuring that the resources are not exploited. That's the concept of the chapter. Sustainable development.